This is one of the fastest growing areas in Kansas City, at least on the Kansas side. Very close to some of the best parks in the area, shops, restaurants, entertainment spots. The area is developing very quickly. This video is all about moving to one of the fastest growing areas of Shawnee, Kansas, Western Shawnee. If you stick around to the end of the video, we're going to break down the price of new construction homes as well as pre-existing homes. And who knows, if it's not already on your home search list, it could be a really good option here in the Kansas City suburbs. Part number one is the location, and here's what Western Shawnee looks like on the map. For the purpose of this video, there's no formal definition of Western Shawnee, so we're basically assuming that it's the part of Shawnee that falls in the DeSoto School District, something that we'll talk about here later on in the video. But again, for the purpose of this one, that would be west of I-435. As you can see on the map, you've got two highways cutting north and south across Shawnee. You've got I-435. You've also got K7, so very quick highway access in this part of Johnson County. One of the major pluses is that you are just north of Lenexa. Lenexa has been growing like crazy. A lot of people loved it. I've never heard somebody have a complaint about the city of Lenexa, although I'm sure there are dissenting opinions out there. But one of the major reasons why is because of Lenexa City Center. Not only do you have all kinds of different shops, restaurants, amenities there. They do music live on some weeknights and some weekends. You've also got so many shops up and down West 83rd Street. There's just a lot of new development that has taken place in the last 10 years or so. So even though it's in the city of Lenexa, you've got very close proximity to it being in Western Shawnee. Now, a couple of the other bonuses are in Shawnee, you've got Shawnee Mission Park. It's one of the largest parks in Johnson County. It's absolutely beautiful. It's acres and acres and acres. You got a lake in the middle of it. You've got trails throughout. It's one of my dog's favorite dog parks. There's a frisbee golf area and so much to do out there. You can rent kayaks and paddle boards and all sorts of stuff during the summer. Really, this area of Johnson County as a whole, both in Lenexa and Western Shawnee, you're going to find a ton of green space and a ton of trails as well. The third major benefit of this area is that you're really close to the Legends outlet. So maybe 15 minutes to your north. Of course, there's so much going on there that will continue to develop over the next several years. Who knows, maybe the Chiefs and the Royals end up there. That's a completely different topic for probably a different video, but you've got so many different things happening there, like the Mattel theme park. You've got a Margaritaville hotel going in there. You've also got, I'm seeing word and news reports of a new Buc-ee's. So if you've ever been to Texas, it's like one of the biggest gas stations in the entire world. It sounds like we're getting one near the Legends outlets. There's a ton of growth, and without living in Kansas City, Kansas, you do have close proximity to it being in Shawnee. And then of course, one final thing that I want to touch on is if you're into golf, you've got a couple different golf courses around Johnson County, but two in Western Shawnee. You've got the Shawnee Golf and Country Club, and then just to the east, you've got Tomahawk Hills Golf Course. And moving on to part number two, which is all about the community feel in Western Shawnee. We've already touched on a couple of these ones, but I feel like this deserves its own part in the video because there are a couple things that are distinct from the previous section. So one is that this area is growing very quickly, right? You've got all the development in Lenexa, the city center, etc. You've also got a ton of development in the area of Western Shawnee as a whole. A lot of new restaurants, shops, etc. have been going in over the last decade or so. In surrounding cities like DeSoto, which is just to the west of Shawnee, you've got the Panasonic battery plant going in. So it's not just that you'll see some growth in the area of Western Shawnee moving forward. You also see some growth in surrounding cities, which is really, really nice, especially if you plan on buying a home, because with the hundreds of workers that they're going to be hiring there and tons of other businesses coming to the Johnson County area, this is certainly a very popular choice for a lot of them. I know a lot of you who have reached out through these videos and watched the videos. I know quite a few of you are interested in Western Shawnee, so it only makes sense to put out a video just like this, but I anticipate that what I'm seeing on my end is probably a small drop in the bucket compared to the large amount of people who are also have the same opinion, also looking at moving to Western Shawnee as well. Now, we had already talked about the kind of small town feel. You got a ton of green space, but that's something that's important to emphasize because you've got quite a few suburbs around the Kansas City area, like in Olathe and Overland Park, which are huge. They're growing very quickly. There are a lot of homes being built, and some people are even moving out of those areas because they feel that it's getting more congested. And luckily, Western Shawnee, because you're a little bit more spread out, because you've got that green space, it would be one area, in my opinion, and we can get to this here when we talk about new homes, but some of those developments, you're driving past acres and acres and acres of green space. Some of them are going to be back roads connecting different communities together. And if you're looking for more of a small town feel while still being in Johnson County and still being in some of the highly rated schools that we'll talk about in a second, this is one of the best options there is right now. Now we're going to move on to part number three, which is all about the schools. This is one of the popular draws. It brings a lot of people to Western Western Shawnee and has put it on a lot of people's radar. Before we get into all of the specifics, if we haven't met yet, then welcome to the channel. My name is Nick Massa. I'm a licensed real estate agent here in Kansas and Missouri. And luckily, I've got the great opportunity to work with quite a few of you who are moving to the Kansas City area, or maybe you're already local in Kansas City and you're just looking for the right place in Kansas City to buy a home in. I'd absolutely love to support you and be your go-to resource. So invite you to subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see future videos just like this. And of course, if you have any questions, specifics about how to find a good property, how to negotiate a good deal on it, and make sure you end up in the right area, then I would absolutely love to help you. So feel free to give me a phone call, text message, email, and I'd absolutely love to support you. Now, before we drill down just to Western Shawnee, just a brief overview of Shawnee as a whole is that you've got two different school districts. You've got the Shawnee Mission School District, which is mostly in like the northeast corner of Johnson County, and then you've got the DeSoto School District, which encompasses most of Western Shawnee, so the western half of Shawnee that we're talking about in this video. Here's an image, a map from niche.com that shows some of those different school districts. Everything that you see to the north is in Kansas City, Kansas. You've got the Bonner Springs School District, you've got the Turner Unified School District there as well, and you can kind of see DeSoto off to the left. Now, if you're not familiar with the Kansas City area, DeSoto is a completely separate city, but because that school district does fall in the bounds of Shawnee, that is what most of the schools are zoned to. Now, it is a very popular one, and here's how it's ranked compared to the other great school districts in the Johnson County area. You can see that niche.com has it ranked as number 2, right below Blue Valley. Of course, this is all subjective and it completely depends on what your children's specific needs are. Blue Valley, I believe, yes, it is a really good school district, but it also gets a whole lot more recognition as Overland Park as an entire city is just far bigger than Shawnee ever could be. So that's part of it as well. It just gets a little bit more press. Now, if we get even more specific than that, according to this map on niche.com, you can see all the different ratings for each different school in the DeSoto School District. They're also located in Shawnee, and you can see that almost every single school is rated A+, A-, and it's really hard to beat some of the great ratings just like that. Of course, there will be some expansion of the school district at some point as Western Shawnee continues to be more built out, and of course, more people move to the surrounding cities like Lenexa as well as DeSoto. Now, the final thing that I want to say on schools is it's important to know in the state of Kansas, they did pass open enrollment. It's basically a school choice option, which means that you're no longer bound to, the specific school boundaries that your home is zoned to. As long as there's space in some of the schools, you can apply to transfer into them. And Kansas state law, as a taxpayer in Kansas, that is an option for you. So I think that's a big plus. I like to add it in these videos, no matter what area we're talking about, because it is an option that I would certainly want to know about if I was moving to an area or if I was thinking about buying a home on the Kansas side. Now we're going to move on to the final two parts of the video. So part number 4 is going to be home prices for pre-existing homes. And then part number 5, we're actually going to talk about some of the new home communities and new construction homes in the area of Western Shawnee. So before we get in specifically to number 4, it's important to know that you do have both options. And one of the nicer things about Western Shawnee is it's a little bit farther away from Kansas City, Missouri proper. So like the downtown area of the city where everything kind of started and then expanded from after the city was first established, which means instead of seeing a lot of homes built in like the 1950s, which you will mostly see on the eastern side of Shawnee and Western Shawnee, a lot of them were built in the late 90s, the early 2000s, and of course, we do have some new construction here in present day of 2024. Now, according to this chart and this data from the multiple listing service, it's where we get all of our information from. It's also where Zillow, Redfin, Truly, all the home search sites get their information from. The median sale price in 2023 was around $445,000. It's crept up a little bit here in 2024. We don't have all the data back yet, but it's around $465,000. And of course, 23, you're looking at about 6 days to sell. And so far in 2024, you're looking at about 3 days to sell. Now, maybe part of that is due to Western Shawnee becoming more popular, more people want to move here, but it's too difficult to say right now because this is just partial data. And really, we won't have a final figure until sometime in 2025 when all the sales data is in. Now, needless to say, the homes are going to be selling pretty quick. I mean, 6 days on market is still fast compared to, decades and decades and decades worth of real estate sales in the 21st century. And 3 days is certainly extremely fast, even for the summer months. So it'll probably take several years to get back to a more normal balanced market where we don't see homes selling in the first week or second week, where they start to take a little bit longer. But as of right now, that's generally what you can expect. Now, I do want to show you a couple different options for the types of homes you can expect. So here's the first one. It's a beautiful looking house. I really like the white picket fence in the front of it. It's priced at $465,000. So it hit the nail on the head of that median sale price. You got 4 bedrooms bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms, 3160 square feet. It looks fairly updated on the inside, and that's because it was built in 1997. It's on just under a 10,000 square foot lot, and I really like the finishes throughout. So this is a 2-story home. You've got the master upstairs. Of course, some of the kitchens in this area, since a lot of the homes were built in the late 90s, early 2000s, you will find that they're not going to be like the most updated like you would see if you walked into a brand new construction home. They're still going to be in very, very nice condition. And of course, this is around the time where homes were starting to be built a little bit bigger. You had master suites instead of just another bedroom with an ensuite bathroom. So that's something nice, that the layout is going to be more updated compared to what today's standards look like. Now, I like to come prepared for these videos, so I've got another example for you, just so you can see more of a consensus instead of just one cherry-picked one. So here's one priced at $435. Same kind of deal. You've got 4 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms, 2985 square feet. And this one was actually built 2 years older than the first one I showed you. It was built in 1995. It's on a slightly bigger lot at just over 1/4 of an acre. Love the green space. You've got a deck off of the back for outdoor entertainment. I'm still a really big fan of like the traditional fireplace that you would see in that living room. And of course, you can see kind of what we touched on. You'll have nice looking kitchens, but they're not going to be like the most updated kitchen that you'll find. Of course, those kitchen cabinets and the quality of those kitchen cabinets is probably way better than any stain grade cabinets that you could find today, but that's probably a topic for a completely different video. Now, because these subdivisions were built in the late 90s, the early 2000s, you will typically find some amenities like a neighborhood pool, maybe a playground, possibly a clubhouse, but it completely depends on the HOA that you would be a part of. But needless to say, that's exactly what you can expect for the median price in Western Shawnee. Now, we're going to move on to part number 5, which is all about new construction homes in Western Shawnee. Now, here's that same data that I showed you for pre-existing homes, but now it includes all new construction. The previous one excluded all new construction. 2023, you can see the median close price was around $631,000. Of course, now in 2024, home prices have increased. Inflation's been crazy the last year. You've got prices around $669,000. Now, new construction is a completely different market, and that's something that we've touched on in several of the videos that we've made. But as a result, a lot of these homes are listed as soon as they're starting construction, which means it's not so uncommon to see these homes on the market for several months before someone goes and buys them. Now, that being said, you'll find that the typical days to sell, at least in 2023, was around 12 days, which is very fast when it comes to new construction. Again, as most properties are listed as soon as they break ground, and usually it's not until they're in the final stages of being finished, depending on the different home, that they're actually going under contract and somebody chooses to buy them. Now, 2024, you can see that days on market creeps up a little bit. It's about 46 days on market. There are quite a few build jobs happening right now, so builders aren't building as many spec homes as they would have just a couple years ago. So that could be part of it, as a lot of these homes are entered and they're technically sold before they're even an active listing in the MLS. So that's something to account for as well. Now, there are 2 communities that we've made entirely separate videos on. One, and the most recent one, was Bristol Highlands. Developers Don Julian, J.S. Robinson, some of the most respected builders here in the Kansas City area. And this community was absolutely beautiful, and that's the drone footage that you're seeing on the screen right now. Prices are anywhere from the mid 700s all the way up to over $1 million. You've got tons of wooded lots that back to green space or woods. They're walkout lots as well, which means you can get that nice lower level walking right out into the backyard. You got 3 different neighborhoods. You've got the twin villas, and then you've got the manors and the estate-sized homes. So something for every different price range out there. And of course, something important to note is that the manors, I believe, are open to all builders, which means if you've been working closely with one builder, or you find a builder that's not, technically building in that community right now, it would be pretty simple process. It's likely that you would have the option to bring them to build you a custom home there in Bristol Highlands. Now, the second community that we did probably about a year, maybe a year and a half ago, is called Canyon Lakes. I've had quite a few clients interested in it. It's got quite a few different lot options available. The prices are anywhere from $600,000 to maybe the upper 700s, closer to 800, but most of the homes I see there are anywhere in the 600s to 700s. They do have quite a few spec homes, so if you're looking for a house that's move-in ready quickly, where you don't quite have the time to build from the ground up, it would be a very viable option. You also have quite a few different lots. Amenities aren't quite in either of the communities that we're discussing just yet. They're expected within the next year or 2 years. It all depends on how quickly the communities are developing, and it's important to mention that these are not the only 2 communities or new home communities communities in the area of Western Shawnee. There are several more, but a lot of them are like 3/4 of the way sold out, or they don't have a ton of lots left, and they might have a couple different spec homes going up. So if you'd like a list of all of those options and opportunities out there, feel free to reach out to me, phone call, text message, email. I know a lot of you are interested in new construction, and sometimes those communities where there are only a couple homes left in them, sometimes those are where you can get really, really good deals. So make sure to reach out if that's of any interest. But that'll do it for the Western Shawnee. It's a great option if you're thinking about moving to the Kansas City suburbs. According to niche.com, great school district, you've got great public amenities. And before you go, you can click right here to watch the video YouTube thinks you would enjoy the most, or you can click right here if you're interested in new construction homes. We've got a full playlist of different community tours, model tours, etc. So click either here or here, and I'll see you on the other side.